Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have several pieces of book news to cover. Yes, it's been a while since we've done a book news video on the channel, but I've got a lot of book news to share today. I'm very excited about it. I've got book news from across the publishing industry. We've got some Star Wars book news from Random House, some Star Trek book news from Simon & Schuster. We've got some smaller publishers like Aethon Books publishing a new fantasy series, and we've got some sci-fi publishing news from Baen Books. And so I've got all the news to cover today. We're going to start with the Star Wars one, which is actually a cover reveal that we have for the new High Republic adult novel, The Temptation of the Force by Tessa Gratton, which is releasing in June 2024. The cover art is by Grant Griffin. It is the same cover artist who did the previous adult novel for Random House Worlds, and that was The Eye of Darkness. So I like that they have the same cover artist working on both, and this cover art is much more bright, it's much more exciting, it's got kind of a little bit of a romantic twist behind it, and when you see the blurb that they have behind the book, you'll see that there's a little bit of a romance hinted at between some of the main characters here, and I think that this is a very good cover. I like this kind of art style. It seems a little bit more stylized than, say, the Light of the Jedi or the Phase 1 covers, which I think were much more painting picturesque. It was like a blend of painting and picture, whereas this is much more just like a pastel painting, but it's still, I think, a really nice cover, and I like it. And I liked Grant Griffin's artwork on here for The Eye of Darkness, so Grant Griffin's doing a good job. I will also say I generally enjoyed the High Republic adult novels, particularly the last one we had, The Eye of Darkness, was a terrific addition, and I'm really excited to get more adult novels. This one comes out in June, so it's not too far away. We've got a book that comes out in March, which is a YA book, also by Tessa Gratton and Justina Ireland, and then we have Tessa Gratton's final book, which is an adult novel, and I'm really excited about that. Regarding Tessa Gratton and her publishing history, she's kind of mixed for me. She published with Justina Ireland the book Path of Deceit, which is, in my opinion, the best of the YA books that they've done for the High Republic thus far, but it wasn't an amazing book. I just think it was entertaining, but it wasn't amazing. And then she also wrote the middle grade book Quest for Planet X, which I did not like at all. I have my review on the channel. This book didn't work for me. I did not like what she did with this book, and I do enjoy some of the middle grades, but this one just didn't work. So because of that, she's got a mixed track record for me. She does have the YA book with Justina Ireland coming out in March, so we'll see how that affects the scales. But I generally enjoy the adult novels more than I enjoy the young adult and middle grade, so I'm very excited for this one, and I'm hoping it's going to be good. But that's not the only bit of book news we have. We also have a Star Trek book announcement. Yes, this is a Star Trek Strange New Worlds hardcover novel coming in September 2024. This novel is going to be titled Asylum, Star Trek Strange New Worlds Asylum, and it is written by Una McCormack. This is a Star Trek author who has been doing quite a lot of Star Trek books over the last 2 decades. Una has written a lot of Deep Space Nine novels. She's also written some crossover novels. She's written some Next Generation related books. She also wrote the Kickoff Picard novel, which is one of the novel The Last Best Hope, which is not only a great novel, but actually is one of the better selling novels recently. It was a USA Today list bestseller, and it's sold a lot of copies with fans. And so I'm for one excited for this. Let me read to you the blurb that the publisher provided. That's Gallery Books, which is owned by Simon & Schuster. Let me read what Gallery said. It says, when Una Chin Riley and Christopher Pike meet at Starfleet Academy after one of his lectures, they immediately become friends. A stellar student, Una is the poster girl of his class, and Pike is determined to become a Starfleet captain with his own ship, rhetorically assembling his dream crew. As their friendship evolves, Pike also suspects Una is involved with the Exana, a Chionian cultural minority who are seeking asylum in the Federation space, leading to more questions than answers. 25 years later, Una and Pike are working together on the USS Enterprise to settle a Chionian trade agreement when a pro-Exana saboteur launches a terrorist attack. When the suspect is taken into custody for interrogation and discovered to have a history with Una, her past associations resurface, threatening to expose a secret she's been harboring all these years. Una McCormick generally is a solid author, in my opinion. I've read 4 of her novels, 3 of which are top-tier Star Trek novels for me. Only one of them was a misfire. But the 3 that I read weren't just good novels, they were amazing novels. So I'm really hopeful that she will turn in another home run. And I'm also, if I can take them, and by the way, this is the second Strange New Worlds novel to release. John Jackson Miller wrote The High Country, which released last year, back in 2023. It was a very entertaining read. I have a review of it. Check it out. It was the first hardcover in this series, and she has the second hardcover coming in 2024. And I'm kind of excited because this means that Star Trek and Gallery Books will have 4 novels published in 2024, unless we get a 5th surprise one, which I don't think we're going to get. We have 4 on the publication schedule. We have Picard Firewall, which comes out in this month of February in a couple weeks. Then we have in May, we have a Next Generation novel written by Dayton Ward. In July, we have a original series novel by Greg Cox, and then in September we have Strange New Worlds, Asylum by Una McCormick. And so that means that's 4 books, and that's not a lot of books in a single year. However, in 2022 and in 2023, Star Trek produced the fewest number of novels that they've produced in like 50 years. They only produced 2 novels in 2022 and 2 novels in 2023. For comparison's sake, they had been publishing almost 12 books a year back in the 2010s and early 2000s. At one point, they were doing like 24 books, but that's crazy. 12 books a year was pretty consistent and realistic, in my opinion. And so it was very disheartening when we dropped down to just 2 Star Trek books a year. But now we have 4 Star Trek books publishing in 2024. And I have hope that if these sales continue and people keep getting excited and reading these Star Trek books, maybe they'll publish more and increase the number again back to the number that it should be, which in my opinion is 12. 9 would be acceptable, but 12 is where it should be at, in my opinion. But let me know what you think of this new novel announcement. Are you an Una McCormick fan? Let me know that in the comments down below. But that's not all the book news we have today. We have book news from a smaller science fiction fantasy publisher titled Aethon Books. Aethon Books has just signed a brand new publishing deal with Larry Correia for a new fantasy series titled The Academy of Outcasts. And I'll read to you the blurb that they have produced about the book. Set in a D&D-inspired world split into elemental realms, it features a poor young man from the Fire Realm who is destined for nothing except servitude to magic-wielding masters, until one day he sneaks through the portal, which connects each realm, and gains access to one of the academies for the gifted, the worst one. There, he'll find out if he can master magic as he thought it was impossible, make something of himself, and bring the Academy of Outcasts to glory. There is no pub date for this series. I think it was just announced. I don't know whether Larry Correia has written the books and they're just working on editing, or whether he is going to write them. But the whole point is that this is a big publishing deal that they have signed him. Aethon Books, from what I can tell, is a very small publisher. They're not part of the big groups of publishers out there, so it's good to see them signing more talent. Recently, I saw they signed Harry Turtledove, and they also signed Timothy Zahn to reprint and kind of redo one of his books. I think it was just called Cloak before, but I think it's called The Cloak Gambit now, and that's coming out in 2024. And so this Aethon Books is bringing in more talented science fiction fantasy writers to be more involved in their publishing house. And I think this is great news. I am a little curious because Larry Correia has been one of the most prominent authors at Baen. Baen's most prominent author is David Weber, but then they have a few others that are like right below him that still sell quite a lot of copies and are big names, and one of those is Larry Correia. So it's interesting to see him move to a different publisher. This isn't unheard of, as authors like David Weber have worked with other publishers like Tor Books for his Safehold series, and then other authors like Timothy Zahn just bop around to whatever publisher is available, whether it be Tor or whether it be Aethon or whether it be DAW, whatever. They go to whatever publisher. So this isn't out of the ordinary, but I just was a little bit caught surprised because I would have expected Larry Correia to stay with Baen as long as he needed to, because Baen has been a good home for him as a publisher. And I think it fits his style. So it's interesting to see how this works at Aethon Books. I'm excited to see new, smaller publishers get involved. I'm not necessarily one of those that's in the indie section, but I want to see publishers be professional publishers and rise up a lot, and it's good to see Aethon involved. I don't know if they're owned by one of the major publishers, but still, they're not as known as Tor or Orbit or one of the big ones like that, or Del Rey. Finally, the final piece of book news I have is regarding Timothy Zahn's Icarus series. This is a series I talk about a lot on the channel, and in fact, it was one of the first book news videos I've ever produced for the channel, was a book news video about the Icarus series. Long story short, Timothy Zahn wrote The Icarus Hunt back in the 90s. I think it came out in like 99, and then he hadn't published anything in the series for about two decades. And then back in 2022, he came out with his book, The Icarus Plot, which was from a different publisher. This was from Baen. The first one was through Bantam Books, and Baen published The Icarus Plot, and then it was revealed that he had gotten a big publishing deal. First they announced 3 books, then they announced it was going to be like 6 books. And so we have basically 6 books that were announced, and in my interview with Mr. Zahn, I was able to talk to him about all the titles, and he revealed the titles for all of the books, and we've got some cover reveals and some title and release date reveals. So for those of you, just to catch people up, we have The Icarus Plot, which came out in 2022, summer, and then we had The Icarus Twin, which came out in December 2023. It's a very recent release, and I have book reviews for both of these. But we have not 1, not 2, but 3 books publishing in the Icarus Saga this year in 2024. That's a lot of books for a single series by a single author from a publisher, but he's doing all of them this year, and I am excited to read them all. In March, we have The Icarus Job, which we've had this cover for quite a while, but I'll show the cover here. All of these covers for Timothy Zahn's Icarus series have been, at least the recent ones, have been through Dave Seeley, a terrific cover artist. And then we also have, we have Icarus Job in March 2024, and then in July 2024 we have the Icarus Changeling, which we also most recently got cover art for. I think we got this like a month or so ago. This was pretty new cover art. And then we don't have the cover art for it yet, but it was just announced that we will get the Icarus Needle in December. And it's kind of funny, so December 24. It's kind of funny because we kind of knew he was publishing a lot of these books, but we didn't know specifics. But then Baen has a podcast called the Baen Free Radio Hour, where they bring on their authors to talk about their books. And once a year, the editors and the publisher, Tony Weisskampf, get on the podcast and talk about all the books coming up that year. And in this conversation that they had, they talked about how they had another Timothy Zahn book scheduled on the release calendar, but they didn't know specifically when it would get in. So they were like, we think it's going to be 2024 at the end of the year, but we're not sure. Well, now we have our answer. It's going to be December 2024. So I'm super excited for the Icarus Saga to continue. It's a very entertaining series. Check out my reviews for them if you haven't already. And I love the cover art for this series. Very, very, very unique style that I like. But that is all of the book news that we have today. I'm really excited about the state of publishing. I have so many new releases coming out this year. I'm going to be so busy with reading. But tell me, which news is most interesting to you? Which books have you not read but might be interested in? Have you read the Icarus Saga? Have you read Larry Correia? Let me know those your thoughts in the comments section down below. But until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.